Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, King Hiss. The leader of the evil snake men enters the line, finally giving us figure representation of each of the major factions. This being the Snake Men. King Hiss comes in the standard Masters Classics blister card packaging. Similar to what we've seen on some of the other factions before, Hiss has the classic Snake Men logo stuck to the front of the bubble. The back of the package shows off more figures from the lineup, as well as a brand new bio for Hiss. So those who were fans of the 2000X toy line, one thing you will notice right away is that Hiss is back to his vintage look. While this is usually the case with most Classics figures, Hiss is one of those whose look was a lot different in 2000X, and one that I personally was not very fond of. So I am very happy to see the original look return here. Just look at that awesome face sculpt. He's got a devilish smirk, showing that he's cocky, confident, and just plain bad. Alright, so here we are with the Lord of the Snake Men himself, King Hiss. Now, King Hiss is actually a pretty unique figure all the way around, so we're going to check out some of the little parts on him. First of all, check out that staff. Now, this is, of course, the famous snake staff. It's designed just after the look of the vintage figures. But one cool thing to note about it is that the snake and the scepter underneath are actually two different pieces. Looking at the figure, you can see that it looks like the snake is stuck to the staff itself by pegs. It's not removable, so it's not meant to come off. But if you really wanted to, you could probably pull the snake right off that staff. So kind of a cool little tidbit there, that it's not one solid piece. Now, looking at Hiss himself, you can see we've got a lot of unique new parts going on here, because the arms and the legs are all newly sculpted because they got to have the ridges that are seen on King Hiss's outfit. Now, the actual body piece, at first I thought was also sculpted, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized that it's just a softer piece put over the regular buck. Now, it is non-removable, so it's actually glued on there. You're not going to be able to take it off. So it's kind of similar to what we've seen on a lot of the female figures, where it's a separate piece, but it's permanently attached. It's the same thing we've got going on with Hiss here. Other than that, I'd also like to point out that you can see the ankle joints are still the older style ankle joints. We've got the big peg piece showing there. But the ankles do seem to be pretty tight. I mean, I don't have a lot of looseness going on in the ankles, so that's pretty good. Another thing to point out is that King Hiss's codpiece is also a brand new part. You can see that the Snake Men here do not sport the furry underwear. We got something brand new going on down there, so that's pretty sweet. Now, while King Hiss does have pretty decent, tight ankle joints, unfortunately, I have to point out that my King Hiss has a bobblehead. A little sad, actually. It looks like it's due to the fact that the neck peg is that longer peg, and it is quite loose. And I assume that they made the longer peg because, as you can see, the armor piece does come all the way up the neck, and I don't know if it was made that way so it can fit the head better, but because of that, the peg is incredibly loose. And popping on King Hiss's head, he's totally got the head knocker thing going on. So it's a little disappointing there. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering exactly how the snake form transformation works on this figure. Now, he does sport all of the same articulation as seen on every other figure, but as you just saw, it's very, very easy to pop off his top part of his body. The torso removes from the lower half, so you can put on the snake piece. The peg is a solid plastic peg. As you can see, there's just a hole right there in the lower half, and it easily snaps into place, but it's quite easy to take apart. So I almost worry that this is going to get a little too loose over time and it's not going to sit too well on there. I mean, it doesn't really bobble or anything. I mean, not like his head. So we should be okay, but I don't know if excessive changing of the parts is going to affect him later down the road. So that might be just a little thing to be wary of. But when you want to change him to snake form, it's as easy as popping off the top half and bringing in the snake piece, which you can just pop right on. Now, the snake piece is made of a soft rubber all the way through and through. So you can see he's very flexible, very bendable. The actual snake arms are the only parts that have wires in them. So you can pose those, but the rest of the body just bends and moves around. Now, the peg piece is still a hard plastic, exactly the same as what's on the torso piece. So you don't have to worry about it being too soft. It actually does clip into place. Fits exactly the same as this piece. So as you can see, it's just as easy to pop it in and out there. So like I said, the arms are bendable, which honestly I think is a pretty good way to pull this off. So we can position the snakes however we want to, stretch them out. And another cool thing to note that even though this is all soft plastic, he was still given an articulated mandible here. So his mouth does open and close. It is very soft and flexible. But we can pose them, open mouth, closed mouth, and it works very well with the little hinge that's going on there. So, overall, I think this is a pretty good way to pull off the snake form, and it probably works a lot better than the removable pieces as seen on the vintage toy, and it definitely works a heck of a lot better than the stupid fold-up thing on the 2000X figure.
With the snake arms being the only bits that are actually posable while in this form, there aren't a ton of poses you can get out of them, but you can get enough. Honestly, I feel that the bendy arms work great, and were a really good idea as far as accomplishing Hiss's transformation feature. And the sculpt is really cool as well. For being basically a bendy figure, the amount of detail comes off really great. And he has a really cool vintage look to him. Now, I know there's been a lot of debate on whether he should have more snakes wrapped around him, and while that might be cool, I honestly feel that this works out pretty good. In fact, this is absolutely the best snake version on any King Hiss figure to date. The King comes with 2 accessories. As shown earlier, he has his classic snake staff, modeled after that of the vintage action figure. The snake actually has some really cool painted on details, with those darker green spots almost having a metallic shine to them. Hiss also includes the classic red shield depicting the Snake Men logo that easily clips onto his wrist. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Here is King Hiss alongside his vintage counterpart. As I mentioned, the look of the new figure matches up with the look of the original, but with updated details. And of course, that new snake form completely destroys the original puny one. And here he is alongside 2000X King Hiss. I am seriously so glad to see Hiss back to his classic look. And once again, the snake form is much, much, much improved. King Hiss ushers the Snake Men into the Masters of the Universe Classics toy line. Now, minor flaws such as that bobblehead issue that just keeps rearing its ugly head is definitely disappointing, but the overall look and design of this figure are excellent. This has been one of my favorite looking new figures ever since he was debuted at the last San Diego Comic-Con, and having him in hand, I still feel that way. I just love the look of this King Hiss, and I'm anxiously awaiting the release of his fellow Snake Warriors to add to his ranks. King Hiss is part of the 2011 Eternian Collectors Club subscription, and will also be available in March on MattyCollector.com. Until next time,